so close. It's like minutes away from popping. I think it's probably gonna be ready to mine while I'm asleep. Hopefully there's some rocks left from here tomorrow morning. So there's an Athenor here in J7A TAC that I've had my eyes on ever since coming out to Curse. It's got a moon chunk that was quite close and getting closer to the Athenor, and I checked on it last night and the moon chunk was so close to the Athenor that I'm quite sure it's going to pop this morning, may have already popped. So I docked up overnight in the Dominations testing facility, and we'll go check out that moon now, see if there's an asteroid belt there, and see if it's got anything we need. I am starting to wonder if I shouldn't be using moon survey probes at this point. The only moon mineral we specifically need to build our Cynabal is atmospheric gases, and in order to do the T2 manufacturing we're so excited about, we need technetium, and we're going to need a bit more hydrocarbons because we have just enough for the Cynabal right now. Oh, I think I saw asteroids there. So we're about to find out. Is there technetium? Is there atmospheric gases? Is there hydrocarbons? Does this Athenor have anything that will be of use to me? Coesite silicates. Bitumens? There are some hydrocarbons here. Okay, that's something. But we don't need titanium or hafnium, right? We already have hafnium, I think. Oh no, we don't have any hafnium. Okay. Well, at the very least, we can mine some hafnium here, which will broaden our Tech 2 manufacturing capabilities, even though we don't specifically need it for our Tech 2 projectiles plan. Titanium, we definitely already have plenty of. Yeah, it looks like the main thing we're going to get out of this moon is hafnium. So we're here. Since we're already here, we'll absolutely mine some hafnium. But like I was saying before, it certainly does make me want to invest in some moon survey probes. I've been watching all of these Athenors, and you see the moon chunk coming closer and closer and closer, but there's no way for me to know until that moon chunk pops whether or not that Athenor is going to be a complete waste of my time. Especially when I'm bouncing in and out from Thera. If I see a moon chunk that's a couple of ways away from popping, I'm not going to lock myself out of Thera and wait to see. That would be crazy. Is I need to be able to look at a moon chunk that's approaching and know in advance whether or not that specific moon chunk is one that's worth waiting for. And there is a mechanism in game for doing that. You can get survey probes in a survey launcher, which you can equip to pretty much any ship. We could put it on our probe, and then you can launch those survey probes at a moon, and it will tell you exactly what kind of asteroids will pop from that moon's moon chunks. People usually do this when they're considering putting an Athenor somewhere. They'll go and they'll survey a bunch of moons and find the moon where they want to build their Athenor to get the minerals that they want to have ready access to. But for us, we can do the exact same thing. We can survey a moon while the moon chunk is being tractored in and know straight away, this is a moon worth changing our plans for. This Zircon hafnium moon would not have been a moon worth changing our plans for. So let's just get one reprocessable hafnium load and then figure out how we're going to extract our way out of Curse and back into Thera. This is Bill. Bill wants to build a Cynabal and join the Angel Cartel cause in Zarzakh, but he's not making it easy on himself. Okay, it's time to finally try extracting all of our valuables out of Curse back to Thera, and we have a lot of valuables. Here in Pofi, in addition to the stuff that we brought out, which we definitely want to bring back in, we also have 60,000 Archangel ammo. We've got some meta 200mm autocannons, and we've got the moon minerals we just mined, along with 11 spatial attunement units, which will be essential for our new commitment to building Tech 2 guns. All of these things are hard to replace. We desperately want them back in Thera. It is dangerous flying around out here in Curse. 2 wormholes have opened up to Thera, which are relatively convenient for us. Neither of them actually in Curse, but there's one just 2 jumps out of Curse in Scalding Pass, and there's one 2 jumps out of Curse in the other direction in Derelict. From here in Pofi, the Scalding Pass entrance is definitely the easiest one to get to, and it saves us from flying through the most dangerous parts of Curse. But I don't want to just fly straight there with all of these valuables in my hold. So what I've done is I've loaded into Priscilla's hold a bunch of stuff that is of some value to us and is kind of bulky, but this isn't the stuff that is most critical for us to get out of here. So we're going to fly over to Scalding Pass, we're going to make sure the wormhole's still there, scan it down, and then we'll take this stuff into Thera, and if the path was clear, we will immediately come back and grab the stuff that we really care about. And then after that, we're going to go through the same process to try and extract the even more precious cargo that we have stashed in Hemen. Look at that. And Litom, oh my. It's going to be several trips, which is going to definitely extend the amount of time that I'm stressed out for this morning, but also means that all of our eggs won't be in one basket. So if we lose a single ship to a gate camp in this process, and fingers crossed that we don't, at least we won't lose everything. So the Thera in-hole in Scalding Pass is still here. The way out was very quiet, although there is one dude who just jumped into system, who I'm a little bit paranoid about, but I haven't seen him on D-scan. So he may not have jumped into system, he might have just logged in to one of the many structures that there are here in G15Z Tech. We are going to warp to the wormhole, pop through to Thera, drop the stuff off, and come straight back out with an empty cargo hold. Pretty exciting to be back in Thera. We haven't been home in a minute. I'm looking forward to that first glimpse of the Gravitation Laboratory. Hello, Grav Lab. Still standing? Still standing. And we're really here. Let's drop all this stuff off. And let's head straight back out. Okay, now it's time to bring in the stuff we really care about. Priscilla the Probe is packed to the gills. And it's a little bit sad that this stuff didn't fit, but none of this is what I would deem mission critical. Let's head back to Thera. And now all of this is safely in Thera. What's kind of funny is that this cargo load actually contains all of the loot from our primary game plan vacation in Curse. We've got our swag from the loyalty point store, we've got some exploration loot, we've got Moongoo, and we've got the meta 200mm autocannons that inspired me to go out there in the first place. So this is everything we went out to Curse for, safely into Thera. And yet that is not the loot that I'm most concerned about. What I really want to get in here safely is this PvP loot from Litom and Hemen. Now the route from Pofi out through Scalding Pass into Thera has been very quiet. We've done 2 runs now without even the slightest scare. But from Litom and Hemen, which are over at the other end of Curse, the other wormhole, which is in Derelict, is actually quite a bit closer. A lot fewer jumps from Litom to Derelict than from Litom to Scalding Pass. We don't, however, know what the situation looks like over there right now in terms of gate safety. So my plan is I'm going to scan down the wormhole out to Derelict Losec. I'm going to fly in from Derelict to Litom and see how dangerous it looks. If I get spooked even a little bit, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly from Litom over to Scalding Pass, even though it's about 12 or 13 jumps, and see if that route looks clear. One way or another, I'm going to try and get all of this PvP loot into Thera this morning. The Derelict wormhole is still here. And we're just 4 jumps from Lytom now here in Kazna. Okay, so all the stuff I have out here won't quite fit in one probe hold. So what I've done is I've moved the loot from Hemen over to Utopia, which is en route from Lytom to the Kazna wormhole. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot out the bulkiest stuff, like the Covert Ops Cloak and these Navy Cap boosters in Priscilla right now, and then I'm going to come back in Aaron the Atron, who is so slippery, but has a small cargo hold, and pick up the stuff that I really truly care about. The Covert Ops Cloak is in Thera. Time to hop in Aaron the Atron, and I'm actually going to throw on an expanded cargo hold. I'm actually going to throw on our Tech 2 expanded cargo hold just to make sure I can bring everything with me in one run. Straight back out through the Kazna hole. Okay, here we go. For all the marbles, one last stealth mission out of Curse. Just 3 jumps, and then 1 warp in Thera. 4 danger points. All right, 3 danger points left. 2 danger points left. 1 danger point left. And this is it. The last real moment of uncontrollable hazard. What's on the other side of this wormhole when we jump through? If we get off the wormhole grid in Thera, we're pretty much home free. And we're off grid. I'm not going to celebrate too much yet. We are not literally docked. But all of this surprising buffet of Tech 2 modules, faction modules, nanite repair paste, it's in Thera. What a win this stuff is. I haven't even decided what I'm doing with half of these T2 modules. Some of them are definitely getting reprocessed though, because bootstrapping Tech 2 manufacturing is the order of the day. We made it! Aaron, we did it. Well done. Okay, if we're gonna take this quest to build Tech 2 medium artillery seriously, we have some shopping to do. We found a wormhole out to Empire Losec. 650mm artillery cannon 1 blueprint, 1.2 million ISK. Fusion M blueprint, 275,000 ISK. Phased Plasma M blueprint, 325,000 ISK. EMP M blueprint, 400,000 ISK. Deep Core Mining Laser 1 blueprint, 3.5 million ISK. Discovery Survey Probe blueprint, 3 million ISK. The star system we're about to enter is in a pirate insurgency zone and under the effects of maximum corruption. We're jumping in anyways. This means that Arnher currently could have bubbles in it. Unusual for Losec, but we have experience navigating bubbles. We are not going to be scared of the possibility of a warp bubble. We are in a fast and nimble Atron. We know how to take care of ourselves. And besides, pirate insurgency. We are members of the Angel Cartel. If anyone's going to be bubble camping Arnher, there's a good chance it would be friends. Friends who seem to have Sisters Combat Scanner probes out. Thermonuclear Trigger Unit Blueprint, 5 million ISK. Survey Probe Launcher 1 Blueprint, 60,000 ISK. And because I knew I'd be buying my probe launcher at a DED or Concord station, I brought out all these data libraries from the wormhole and from the event sites, which we should be able to sell to NPCs right here. Oh, I was mistaken. It turns out actually the sleeper data libraries are not sold to Concord. They're sold to Thucker Mix, but thankfully there's a Thucker Mix station also in this system. 16 million ISK from these Triglavian libraries, and another 2 million ISK for my sleeper data. Thank you. Now we just have to hope that our wormhole hasn't closed behind us. We did come through recklessly while it was end of lifetime. It is. An anathema just went through. We've got our blueprints safely home to Thera. Now it's time to start building things. Okay, I've got the survey probe launcher and 10 survey probes building, but I can't yet build a deep core mining laser because it requires mechanical parts, which are planetary interaction. However, I know that we already have made some mechanical parts out in Minar, where we also need to go to get our robotics eventually. So we're going to keep an eye on the wormholes that open, and as soon as we get a chance to pop out to Minar, we'll start building ourselves some Coxet mining lasers. And now it's time to talk about this 650mm artillery cannon blueprint. I spent some time looking at possible fits for the Cynabal, and obviously I can't choose a fit right now because the fit we use is going to be dependent on what we find. But I was looking at least at the theory of fitting autocannons versus artillery. Autocannons are more common on PvP fits Cynabals. But for Bill, I do like the idea of using the artillery. First off, the blam factor of the massive alpha volley from artillery is just so satisfying. But also with the relatively low skills, flying with autocannons is a bit of a knife's edge. You have to stay relatively close, you have to rely on speed and tracking, and if you screw up even the slightest bit, then someone can be right on top of you and it's game over. With artillery, you've got a bit more leeway to play the long game and sort of keep yourself in a safe position while still raining down hellfire in these massive damage volleys. It'd be very satisfying. I chose the 650mm artillery instead of the 720s for fitting reasons. The damage is pretty close to being as good, and they're much easier to fit. The other great thing about artillery is that if we get our hands on some faction medium ammo, artillery uses so much less ammunition per damage than autocannons do, because each single shot of artillery only uses 1 round of ammo and does so much damage, whereas autocannon is like bam 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 bam, doing a little bit of damage each time, but each time it fires, same amount of ammo. So let's try and build ourselves some Tech 2 650s. But before we can build them, we need to invent ourselves a blueprint. And before we can invent a blueprint, we need to make a blueprint copy. So let's get a copy going. I'm gonna make a 1-run copy just because I'm eager to get the invention process going, and the fewer runs you do, the less time it takes. Now we wait. Now's time to start reprocessing some of our Tech 2 modules and the spatial attunement arrays to see where we stand in terms of our collection of Tech 2 components. I'm being pretty conservative on this first pass in terms of what I reprocess. I'm not reprocessing the Covop's cloak. I'm not reprocessing the capacitor booster. I'm not reprocessing the coprocessor 2. I don't think we're going to end up using any of those 3 things, but there's still a slim possibility. So I'm going to wait until we actually need what's in them before I do the reprocessing. For now, this stuff I am 100% certain we will never use. So let's see what we get if we smash it. Okay, we need a bigger stack of Tech 2 laser crystals before we can reprocess them. But the rest of the stuff, into the wood chipper. Oh! We got mechanical parts from that reprocessing. I hadn't even really noticed when I was looking at the reprocess window. That means, let's get a deep core mining laser building straight away. How about 2 of them? Now let's see where we stand in terms of building a thermonuclear trigger unit. As predicted, we've got the Fernite carbide and we've got the hypersynaptic fibers. It's only the fluorides that we still need to build a single thermonuclear trigger unit. We could currently build 11 trigger units before we start having a problem of not having enough Fernite carbide. And that's, with our trigger unit blueprint, completely unresearched. Given that these materials are going to be so hard for us to come by, it is absolutely worth our while to do material efficiency research on this trigger unit. And researching it all the way up to maximum material efficiency, 10%, is only 2.5 days. But our skill requirements are not met. Metallurgy 5. All right, Okay, it's going to be 12 days before we have the skills that we need to research our thermonuclear trigger unit blueprint. But frankly, I will be very surprised if we're at the point where we're ready to start building Tech 2 artillery within 12 days, so I don't mind waiting. And in fact, we can't even really start thinking about building Tech 2 artillery until we have a blueprint, and our artillery blueprint has finished copying. So let's take a look at invention. In order to invent a 650mm artillery cannon 2 blueprint with 37.1% success, we need 2 mechanical engineering data cores, and we have them, and we need 2 nuclear physics data cores, and we have them. So the only question is, what kind of decryptor are we going to use? Now, the basic invention process gives us 10 runs of the Tech 2 blueprint, which is all that we'll ever need. Our Cynabal can only fit 4 guns, so we don't need to worry about increasing the number of runs we produce. 37.1% success rate is not great, but we have enough data cores that we can reasonably make several goes at this. The thing that I actually care about the most with this Tech 2 blueprint is the material efficiency. If we maximize the material efficiency of our blueprint copy, then we can actually reduce the number of thermonuclear trigger units that we need to build our artillery. So, process decryptor it is. 5% material efficiency. It's as good as it gets with Tech 2 blueprints. And in fact, using this decryptor bumps our success rate up to 40.8%. So let's roll the dice. We've got a wormhole to a very quiet corner of Iridia. I'm just gonna pop my head out and poke around a little bit. Found a relic site. I believe relic sites are where I can find those spatial attunement arrays, and I would love to have a couple more of those, I'll tell ya. Black Eye Nebula. That provides malachite mycosorocin, which is not something that we need. Spatial attunement arrays. There we go. 2 of them. A solid source of more fernite carbide and hypersynaptic fibers for our Tech 2 projectile weapons, and also, who knows, what ceramic fibers and nanotransistors it might eventually help us build. It's so funny sometimes how this challenge has completely rewired my hopes and expectations when it comes to loot. There was a period of time on my main where I was running relic sites looking for income, and all that I cared about was which sites were going to drop the Tech 2 salvage that was worth the most ISK. Then, a few months ago, early on in Bill's career, relic sites became exciting for me again. But this time they were exciting not for the expensive Tech 2 salvage, but for the big piles of Tech 1 salvage like these trip power circuits that I could use to build the rigs that Bill needed, the ancillary current routers and whatnot. But throughout my entire EVE career, when I have run relic sites and found spatial attunement units, it's just been junk. It might as well be carbon. You can't do anything with them. They're only worth 10,000 ISK a piece. I'm pretty sure that I have hacked a ton of cans in relic sites in my day with spatial attunement units in them and not even bothered looting them. I just left them there. And now 2 spatial attunement units. This is the most exciting thing out of all of this loot that I just found in this relic site. I couldn't care less about the Tech 2 power conduits. 2 spatial attunement units. Let's go build some Tech 2 artillery. Oh. Actually, I am kind of happy about the Tech 2 power conduit as well. Another relic site. Decayed blood collision site. And a blood watch. Level 2 combat site. That might be interesting. Oh, that arbitrator is in the blood watch. That changes things quite a lot. But now my connection is getting sketchy. I'm clicking nodes and nothing's happening. Okay, my client crashed, and I've abandoned that relic site for the time being because I'm trying to get back into Thera as quickly as possible and grab a thorax and see if I can't chase Mary Galley out of that blood watch that she is definitely running, or perhaps even catch her while she's still running it. This is honestly one of my favorite things to do, and I know some people are going to say it makes me a real jerk, but I love ambushing people in exploration sites. Go. Mary Galley, are you still running the blood watch, or have we been too slow? I probably should have put on a micro warp drive. If she is micro warp drive fit, then I won't be able to hold her down. And if she is outside of 24 kilometers when I land, I won't be able to tackle her. But honestly, tackling her would be a massive coup. But I'll be almost as happy if I can just make her run. Come on. Oh, she's fled. So the question is going to become, did she flee having completed the site or not having completed the site? All right. The site is still in progress. This looks like it's the last room. I'm not sure who here is our top priority. Let's just hope you haven't got in over our head. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be a cruiser level site, and none of the baddies here are larger than cruiser sized. We have to take care of this web drone. Okay, there's no point in us shooting that web drone anymore. We're gonna have to let our drones deal with him. Our guns are just missing over and over again. We can take out some of these frigates in the meantime. Defend the cathedral. Okay, so I think taking out the cathedral is going to be what triggers the final wave. Where the heck is the cathedral? Also, we might need to bounce out. Come on, drones, kill that drone. There we go. Okay. We took out that web drone, who was the biggest problem for sure. Cathedral Priest says, the infidels are here. Defend the cathedral with your lives, brethren. I'm going to keep descanning the site at 5 degrees while I'm wrapping up. Because if Mary lands back on that signature, thinking that I had to run from it, we are warping in immediately because we might catch her on the outside. She seems to have abandoned it to us. But that's fine. This is always the second best outcome. The best outcome is we kill Mary Galley, get whatever she has fit to her arbitrator, and then finish running her site. The second best outcome is we just run the site. Not mad about this outcome at all. As long as we can do it. It was definitely a little touch and go there at the beginning. Now that web drone is dead, I'm feeling pretty good about our chances of just pulling range and flicking things off. Maybe I spoke too soon. This is intense. There's another spider drone on us. Huh. Okay, but I do think that we need to regroup back into Thera and get a different fit for Tomish that is more suited to this blood watch we found ourselves running. We are still going to bring a warp disruptor though, in case Mary Galley decides to tuck back in there as soon as we're out of system. Okay, here we are taking advantage of some of the Tech 2 modules that we have brought in, and also with a quite pricey Corpy A-type multi-spectrum coating in our lows, but what's the point in having it if we're not going to use it when we're running sites like this? With these two multi-spectrum coatings, our tank should be far more effective than it was before. Heuristic analysis of this location indicates that attacking the Blood Raider Cathedral would greatly improve your odds of uncovering further illicit activity. That sounds familiar to the Serpentis sites we've run before, but I am not going to attack that cathedral until we manage to stabilize, because it has been intense the first couple times we tried to do this. But now I think things are going to go differently. Now that we're down to the last few, I can come in and get up and close and personal with tracking speed scripts and antimatter. I know that running this site is not strictly on the path to building our Tech 2 modules, but our mineral supplies in Thera have been getting low, and we do need to be earning ISK at all times. And these bounties do add up. Mostly we did this because I was hoping to get a chance to catch that other player. But also, we'll see what happens at the end of this site, because the right faction module could still change quite a lot for us. So this must be the cathedral. Well, let's see what happens when I shoot it. Aha! There's only one battle cruiser. Deal with him last, just in case he is the trigger for the final wave. There he is, Dark Blood Raider. That's the guy I want to talk to. Dark Blood Raider down. Let's check out our loot right now while we take these guys out. Pretty underwhelming. Well, they can't all be winners. I really do like running these combat signatures and DED sites. I do wish that the unrated combat signatures were a little more reliable on the loot front. I'm not asking for massive game-changing billion ISK loot in every site, but it would be nice if someone who put, you know, an hour of their time into clearing a whole Blood Watch like this could at least get a single faction module drop instead of just tags and ammo. But that's all right. The bounties and the loot is still plenty of reward for us. So I can't speak to the first room of the Blood Watch since Mary Galley kindly ran it for us, but as for the second and final room, it really seems like there are about 2 criteria you're going to need to meet for an ideal ship to run this with. The first is, when we warped into this room, the DPS we were under was pretty high and we were stationary because of those spider drones. And those drones were very fast, orbiting very quick, with a very small signature. Even with double tracking computers with tracking scripts in, our railguns couldn't track them. We were reliant on our drones. So, you're going to need a ship with a decent tank and the ability to kill 2 very, very fast and slippery web drones. Once that's done, all you gotta do, pull out to 30 kilometers and nothing could hit us. If you've got a 30-kilometer range on your weapons, once those first 2 spider drones are down, the rest of the site is just a cakewalk. Good job, Thomas. Good job. There's definitely a bunch of scary stuff on D-Scan in Thera right now. I'll tell you that much. Gnosis, 2 interdictors, 2 warp disrupt probes. Are they on the wormhole I want to go to? I'm good to go. Let's loot this long string of wrecks. Yay! Another meta damage control, that's nice. That relic site that we abandoned when we decided to run the Blood Watch despawned, but it seems to have respawned here in system. Or at least some other relic site spawned in system while we were running the Blood Watch. So let's run this before we head back to Thera. Come on, spatial attunement units. Big money. Tangled power conduits. Acceptable. It might just be relic sites with the spatial attunement units, but it might be relic and data sites. It would be lovely if it was both. Let's find out. And besides, there are a few types of data cores for Tech 2 Invention I'd still like to get my hands on. Man, this little loop out here in Iridia is just full of data and relic sites. That's what I'm talking about. Look at this can. But especially spatial attunement units. Look at this treasure I've brought back from Iridia. Whole bunch of salvage, decryptors and data cores for future invention, a meta damage control, yes please, some good candidates for reprocessing to refill our mineral store. And speaking of reprocessing, the biggest win of all, 4 more spatial attunement units, 36 ferrite carbide, 4 hypersynaptic fibers, 4 ceramic fibers, 4 nanotransistors. That's a whole lot of moons that we don't have to mine. Yes, please. My invention job is finished. It's time to find out whether our 40.8% probability of success is about to become 100% or 0%. It's 0%. Okay, I've built myself 4 650mm artillery cannon 1s because I will need those to build the Tech 2 variant, and that's something I can do now. I've also taken a second crack at inventing a T2 blueprint. 40.8% chance in the first time, we didn't get it. 40.8% chance in the second time. That totals up to what, 81.6%, right? That's how probability works. Almost a sure thing. Well, round 3. We actually have enough data cores that we can do this all day. One of these times, our coin flip has to work. Our probability totals up to 122.4% chance of success on our 3rd run. So it's literally impossible that this one won't work. Inventing a Tech 2 artillery blueprint. Attempt number 3. One of 1 succeeded. Was it saying 0 of 1 succeeded up there before? I thought I always had to look at my inventory.